Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Palo Alto Summer STEM Camp 2020. My name is Mr. Revelo, and this is the physics and engineering section for middle school. Today, what I'd like to go over with you is the chain reactions kit. So hopefully by now you've gone to campus and were able to pick up the Lego chain reaction kit. Within the kit, you're going to find everything that you need from the building materials to the cutouts to your instruction manual. The instruction manual is going to be very important. It's going to have all the projects that you can perform in there. I believe there are 10. And it's going to have the step-by-step instructions along with all the feedback of the things and skills that you need to know for your chain reaction. Today, what I want to do in the video is walk you through project number 1 and talk about all the physics and engineering that go into this and the concepts that we need to know for the chain reaction to occur. Now, before we go into project number 1, what I like to do is give you a little bit of history about a chain reaction. So I'd like to talk to you about a person named Rube Goldberg. And Rube Goldberg was a very famous scientist. He was actually more than just a scientist. He was a very diverse man in the fields that he worked in. He was born July 4th, 1883. He was known as an inventor, an author, an engineer, and yes, even a cartoonist. So he was very skilled. He did graduate from the University of California, Berkeley with an engineering degree. Immediately after he graduated, he decided to utilize that degree and he became an engineer working for the city of San Francisco, working on sewer systems and designing them. Okay, so he had a very successful job making good money at that time. However, as I said earlier, he was a cartoonist. He did love to draw as a kid. So later on, he did start to become unhappy with his career choice. He decided to resign from being an engineer and began creating cartoons for the local newspaper. So that's what he did. His new path was he was designing cartoons for multiple newspapers. And he got famous because of his engineering designs with the cartoons. People thought they were very interesting. If you look at the picture I have below here with the stamp, these are some of the figures, and maybe you've seen these before, that he used to draw. He used to draw chain reactions. And yes, he did draw other cartoons. He was known for like political cartoons and stuff like that. But this is really where he could use his creativity of his engineering skills and combine it with his drawing skills. So from there, that's where we got the Rube Goldberg machine. And a Rube Goldberg machine is simply a device that uses physics and engineering to make a more simple task more complex through chain reactions. So you may be wondering, okay, why in the world would I want a more complex task? What would I want a simple task to be more complex? Well, the answer to that is that it's because you want to have a mind like Rube Goldberg. In other words, you want to use your creativity and combine it with your knowledge of physics and engineering, of chain reactions, of cause and effect, right? If you think about all the amazing things that we have today in this world, the things that we built from cars to homes to roadways, everything like that, we have designed them with a lot of creativity in mind, right? So we think about the things that we need, we implement it into those devices, and as an engineer, right, we can make things that are truly going to be impactful for our life. So I think a Rube Goldberg machine does this, and you may have seen these on YouTube before, or maybe you've created your own. So what I'd like to go ahead and do now is show you an awesome video from the Honda Corporation, where they made their own Rube Goldberg machine using materials that they have in their shops. And I thought it was really interesting, and I think it'd be a good way to get started before we build our projects. So if we look at this, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I do.
it nice when things just work?
Okay, so how awesome was that? That was pretty crazy, right? That goes to show you um, how creative you can get, thinking about, cause and effect when you're building things together. So I believe that video actually took about over 600 takes before they can get it exactly right. So with that being said, the experiment that we're going to do today and the experiments that you'll do in this booklet, you may not get it right just the first time. You might have to make adjustments. Not 600 times, of course, but you will have to make some adjustments. But like in any engineering field, that's what's going to happen, right? You're going to see if something works. You're going to go back to the drawing board, kind of figure out where you made a mistake, and go back to it. So let's go ahead and get started with what we're going to do today. So if you have your booklet, this is what you're going to need to have in front of you. Okay, so you're going to have this in front of you. What you're going to need is you're going to have your instruction manual. You're going to have this video, of course, and also make sure you have your materials in front of you. Okay. The first thing that you do when you open up your instruction manual, you have your table of contents. Okay. And table of contents is organized with the projects that you can do 1 through 10. Today, I'm just going to be working with you with project number 1, the quintuple. Okay. It's also ranked in order from easy to medium to advanced to so it's kind of a mixture of projects in there. So just be aware whenever you're doing a project of what level of difficulty that you can do. But I believe after this video and after looking through some of this material, all these projects will be pretty easy for you. Okay, so definitely that is your table of contents, and it just gives you a couple of extra information there. If you turn the page to page 4 in your instruction manual, this is going to give you your inventory, everything that you have. So you have 33 Lego elements. You get everything from plates, if you follow my cursor here, to bricks that are 1 by 12, 2 by 8. These guys are literally just Legos. I'm sure if everybody's played with Legos at least once. So they work the same way and the way they snap into each other. You have a slope brick that's inverted 1 by 3. You have a tire, which we'll use today. It's pretty fun. You have a hub, which is essentially the wheel to the tire. It slides right into the rubber tire right there. You have bearings. You have different size axles. They're very important. So they're different sizes. There's a 12 stud axle, so it's very long. You have a 6 stud axle, and you have a cross axle. Okay. You also have bushings. You have pegs, and you have angle connectors depending on what exactly you're building. You are also given 6 balls. In today's experiments, we'll just use one of the yellow balls. You're given string, and I think it's very important to note right here. It says that they provided plenty of string, but you can always use your own string. Personally, I think using dental floss is a lot better just because it's easier to manipulate. It's easier to tie. The string that they give you here is like a yarn string almost. And if you ever dealt with that, it's kind of hard to grab it and tie it if you have to make little tiny knots. Okay. So any string works, and then you're also given paper parts. This is going to be signs that make it look more creative, but also it's important because some of those are the tracks for the ball to roll down. Those are really easy because they just pop out. Okay, so these are all the materials. As any good engineer, you have to have your materials available, everything that you need to build your project. Okay, if we move on to the next thing is the brick basics. This is going to be on page 5, so it's just still right below it. This is just essentially, guys, telling you how you're going to be using your items here. And again, if you use Legos, it's the same concept, and it'll be very easy. They snap right into each other with the studs, depending on what size you need. If you're going to be using the axles right here, the different size axles, they made them very easy, where you can simply place them into the sides here. You can place them into the sides of the different parts, the Legos. Okay, so you'll see as we build, you'll catch on pretty fast. Okay, so project 1's the quintuple. Let's go ahead and read what it says right here. It says, building the quintuple will give you a feel for how one action can trigger another. In fact, this machine gets its name from the number of reactions we packed into it. Quint comes from the Latin word 5. Okay, so there's going to be 5 reactions, 5 steps in order for all this to work together. So as engineers, we need to make sure that we build everything properly, because every single part has a role to play for the whole chain reaction to occur. Okay, just like that Honda commercial, if one little thing was off, it wouldn't affect anything. Or like, for example, if you had dominoes here, right? If we didn't plan these dominoes and we didn't space them properly, right, they wouldn't be able to have a chain reaction and one wouldn't hit another. Okay, so you can see right here, there's 5 steps, and there's even a little QR code right here if you want to see the full thing before you start, if you want to see how it works. Before you start building it, there's a QR code. You can scan it with your phone. That's on your package. But anyways, first step, essentially what we're going to see, guys, is we're going to see a tire that's going to unwind on a pole. We're going to let that tire swing around. It's going to hit a hammer. It is going to be a piece that's standing up. It's going to hit it. The hammer's going to fall down. That would be step 2. Step 3 would be we're going to make a seesaw. Okay, we know a seesaw can go up and down. That hammer is going to hit the seesaw, causing it to go up. It's going to flip a sign that we make. Okay. Um, with that same movement, it's going to knock a ball forward, and the ball will go down the ramp in step 5. Okay. So a lot going on. It's going to happen real quick, but it's really fun. Okay. So the first thing you want to do before we build any project is we want to get organized, and we want to gather all of our materials. So on page 7, it's what you need. Okay. So all the following are the things that we are going to need. So I took a picture of my setup right here. I like to be organized. And then your booklet tells you the quantity. So you're going to need 3 bricks, the 1x2s. You're going to need a angle connector right here, this white piece, this beige piece right here. You're going to need an axle peg. Okay, so make sure you grab one of those. You're going to need 2 bricks of the yellow ones. These are going to be the 2x8s. Okay, you're going to need a cross axle, a 5.5 stud right here. This one right here. So, and you're going to need the long cross axle with 12 studs. So the longest one is black. And then a smaller one is going to be the 6 stud cross axle. And then you're going to need an angle connector right here. It's a gray piece. You're going to need 4 of the 2x2s. These are the bearings. You're going to need the slope brick that's inverted, the 1x3. It's a white piece. It's the only one that looks like a triangle, kind of. You're going to need a tire. You're going to need the hub, which is the wheel. You're going to need 1 green ball. You're going to need a bushing right here. This is a bushing, this little gray piece. Be careful with these. You can get them lost pretty easily. What I recommend is either you keep them in a box or maybe a little plastic bag somewhere secure, and you need your string. Okay, so go ahead. And at any time during this video, what I encourage you to do is to pause the video, make sure you got all your materials or you've done the step, unpause it. Maybe you need to check your book and then continue with the video. Okay, so the first part we're going to build, we're going to turn to page 8, and we're going to build our seesaw. So on page 8, it says, number 1, you want to slide the peg of the 2x2 bearings into the end of the 1x2 brick with holes. Okay, so you need one of those red pieces, and you're going to put 2 of the gray bearing pieces into them. Just follow the arrows on the screen. Okay, what you want to do is you want to put them on the very edge. Right, placement is very important in this project as an engineer. Right, position and placement all have a purpose, so let's make sure that we put them in the correct areas. So as you can see in the video, I'm putting them in the edge. Very simple. They snap right in. Okay, again, if you need to finish anything, pause the video and you can go ahead and take care of that step. All right, step 2, what you need to do now that you have the gray pieces attached to the red piece, what you're going to do is you're going to add 2 yellow bricks. Okay, and you're going to put them on the bottom as a base. Very important to note, if you follow my cursor. Okay, spacing. When you install this, and I'll show you in my video, you want to make sure you install it where there are 3 pieces, 3 studs, 1, 2, 3 in the front. Okay, you see 3 studs, and on the back you should see 2 studs. Okay, so make sure you do that, or else it will not work properly. Okay, so they do snap right in there, they pop right in there. Just FYI, these are new pieces, So it may be a little hard to snap them at first, but as you use them more, you kind of break them in. Okay, so that's the second step that you want to do. As you can see, it should look just like that. Okay, all right, moving on to step 3. Step 3, what you want to do is you want to add an extra 2x2 bearing, okay, on the left side of your seesaw. So add a 2x2 bearing element to one of the 2x8 bricks as shown. Okay, you want to make sure that your pegs are facing outwards. So I have a video here. So I'm going to get that extra bearing. I'm placing it right there to pop in. Okay, and this is what your final product should look like so far. Okay, it is very important that this pegs out because this is where the seesaw is going to attach, the actual lever. Okay. After we do that, let's move to step 4. Step 4, all right, it says slide the outside peg of the last bearing element through a middle hole of a 1x2 brick. Okay, so you're going to get another red brick, okay, an extra red one. And what you're going to do is you're going to slide it in. Now notice you see me there counting. Okay, what am I counting? I'm counting the number of holes. You want to make sure it's right in the middle. So what I did is I counted to 6, right? 6 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where this gray piece is at. That will be the middle of that brick. Okay. Again, if it's not in the middle, it's not going to work properly. Remember, a seesaw has to be even. If you look at the pivot point of a seesaw, it's directly in the middle. Seesaw won't work very good if the pivot point, right, was more near you or near the person that is across from you. It won't work as well. It has to be in the middle. Okay, so I made sure it was in the middle piece. So you should have 5 holes on the left, 5 holes on the right, and you're going to snap it right in there. And to make sure it works, you press it up and down, make sure it moves like a seesaw. Okay, so that is that step, and make sure you test it to make sure it works properly. Okay, the next step, you can put that to the side really quick. We'll come back to it shortly. You want to make the hammer. Remember, I said the tire is going to spin and hit a hammer. Okay, so to make a hammer, you're going to need a 1x12 brick, the red one. You're going to need a peg, which is that beige one. You're going to need also a bushing, okay, which is that small gray piece right here, okay, and a 2x2 bearing. Okay. The first thing you want to do is you want to get that peg and you want to put it into the 1x2 brick, and you're going to put it on the next to the last hole. So you look at this green arrow, it's going to be the second hole. You're going to slide it right in. Okay. After you've done that, I'll show you. So there's my brick. I'm getting that peg and I'm going to put it into the second to the last hole. Just pop it right in there. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you want to grab a bushing, okay, that gray piece, and you want to put it on top of that peg. Okay, so I'm grabbing the bushing and it slides right on there. Okay, very good. Then what you want to do is you want to get your 2x2 bearing, okay, right here. We're on step 2, and you want to snap it right under where your bushing is. Okay, so you have a piece of it will be hanging out. Okay, so it'll snap right in, as you can see right there. Snaps right in, I secure it. Okay, so far it looks like this. The very last part of your hammer, okay, which is actually like the hammer head, okay, the top of it. So right now what we're doing is we're making like the bottom of the hammer. Now we'll make the top of the hammer. So this is like the handle. You want to get the slope brick. It's that white piece that's kind of like a triangle. And we want to snap it into the opposite end right on the bottom there. So I'm getting that white piece and I'm snapping it right on the bottom. Okay, and there you go, pretty easily. This is what your final product of your hammer should look like. Okay, all right, moving to the next step. What we're going to do now is we're going to combine the seesaw with the hammer. Okay, we're going to go ahead and install it. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the center hole of the 1x12 brick right here. Okay, so again, that's going to be the number 6 hole. So make sure you count it. That's in the middle. And we're going to go ahead and snap it in. We're going to set the machine, we're going to snap in the 2x2 right here directly into the center hole. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have my seesaw counting to the 6th hole. Okay, so that's the 6th hole. And I'm going to snap it right in there. Okay, so if you've done it correctly, your hammer should be able to stand straight up, kind of like a flagpole. Okay, There you go. So that's the main setup so far of what you have. Okay. You can test this if you want to make sure you've done it properly. You can get your finger and push the flagpole. So just push it right here, push it forward. The flagpole should fall down and hit the seesaw to make it go up. Okay, that's how you know you've done it properly. So it can rotate. That's why we have um, the bearing in it to make it rotate. Okay. All right. Very good. All right, the next step is that we can, for right now, put that system to the side. We need to go ahead and make our tire swing. Okay, so what you need to do to make your tire swing is you want to get your tire, you want to get the hub, which is the yellow wheel, and your string. Okay, and what you've done here is the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hub into the tire. Okay, so it just pops right in there. Okay. The next step we want to do is we want to go ahead and weave the string into the wheel. Again, now this might be a little difficult. You'll see here that takes me a little bit of time because it is yarn, it's a little more flimsy, but you want to weave it into the wheel. And what I'm going to do after I do step 1 is you'll see me start tying a knot. Okay, and then step 3, I'm going to tie a second knot. Okay, the reason we want to do 2 knots is because we want to make sure the wheel's secure. The last thing you want to do is when your wheel is swinging, you don't want it to fly off. Okay, so right here, straighten out the string. I'm going to go ahead and weave it into the wheel, pull it out, and I'm going to make a knot just like you're going to tie your shoes. Okay, you loop it, you swoop it, and you pull. Make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, I made sure that I had some extra slack because I want to make another knot. So I'm going to go ahead and make another knot right there. Pull it through and tie it. As you can see, it is a little bit of a struggle, guys. It's not going to be super easy. If you have an extra pair of hands, someone to help you, that might be helpful in this right here. So if you have a little extra slack at the end, that's okay. What you can do is you can get some scissors and you can simply cut that extra piece off right here. Okay, but that's what it should look like. Notice I haven't cut my string off of the where the string's being held yet. I'll do that in a moment. Okay. All right. Next thing you want to do is now you want to cut the string off. Okay. So what you're going to do is you want to make sure the string that you have connected to your tire is at least 8 inches long. Okay. And don't worry, if you don't have a ruler, we've got that covered. Okay. If you go to your booklet and you go to the very back, okay, this orange piece right here is a ruler. So you have a ruler right there. Okay. So you make sure that you can cut 8 inches. Okay. So it does not come with scissors, so you have to use your own scissors to cut that off. Once you have 8 inches, you should have it looking something like this, okay, for step 6. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your angle connector, right, this gray piece right here, and you need to go ahead and tie it the other end to your angle connector, okay? So it should look like my picture right here. I'm going to go ahead and weave it through this hole, and I'm going to go ahead and make 2 knots, okay? So the final result should look like this once you weave it through there and tie it. Again, if you have extra slack, that is okay. You can cut it later, okay? There you go. You've made your tire swing, okay? All right. Now it's time to make your sign, so that way we have a cool sign that flips up when we're done. Okay. Again, in your booklet, you have all the cutouts that you need. If you go back to your booklet and you go to the very back, all right, you're gonna have all these cutouts. It's gonna be in a plastic bag. Mine's not anymore because I took it out. But you have a bunch of cutouts, and you want to get out this go sign. Okay. This is what it looks like when you pop it out. This is the back side of it. So on the other side of it, it says go. And what you want to do is you want to do a little bit of origami, right? You want to go ahead and start folding it. These are really cool because it has creases naturally built into it. So when you fold it, you know exactly where you're folding it, okay? So on step 1, you're going to have the sign folding down, and you're going to fold it along the crease lines. You're going to fold it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, okay? When you fold it 3 times, it's going to make this little pyramid like this right here, okay? On step 2, what you're going to do is you're going to fold the edges. You're going to fold at the top. You're going to fold the sides as well. Okay. And then when you turn it around, you should have a little go sign that can sit up by itself. Okay. So that's what you're going to do in the create sign part on page 11. Okay. All right, so we're getting there. Okay, now you need to create your platform. Okay, in the back of your book, again, this is the cutout you need to get. You need to get the quintuple. Okay, and for the platform, what you're going to do is we need to go ahead and set this up on a book of some sort. Okay, I used a physics textbook to kind of be my platform because you want the ball to roll down. However, you could easily just use the booklet you already have when you're ready to start. Okay, so and just set it up on here. Okay, so what you're gonna do is we need to pop out a couple things. Okay, so in this, I mean, I can talk. There's no. Now I have it set up on my textbook. You don't have to have it on your textbook right away. And what I'm going to do is there's some yellow tabs right here that I'm simply going to pop up. Okay. This is where the seesaw is going to sit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm popping those up right there. And that one's done properly like that. Oops, sorry about that. Wrong button. Okay, once again. So, I mean, I can talk. See, I went ahead and popped those yellow tabs up. Okay, so those are done. That's where your seesaw is going to sit. The next thing I'm going to do is there's an extra blue piece right here that just comes right off. Okay, so after you pull that off completely, right here, it's just an empty space. So that's okay. You can throw that piece away. The next thing you're going to see me do is there's a little circle there to pop out. That is where our green ball is going to sit. So we want to make sure we get that removed. Okay. Then this is the little track right here where the ball is going to roll down. Okay. So as you can see, I need to get the folds, these tabs, I want to fold them up. They're kind of like bumpers, so we make sure our ball rolls in a straight direction. Okay, as you see, I'm folding it right there. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is pop out this little rectangle area right here at the end. Okay, and I want to kind of fold it and crease it, so it kind of I want to crease it right here, so this is the edge of the book, and also want to make sure this is flat, and you got a little ramp that you built. Okay, so essentially that is what your setup should look like. Okay, again, so take your time, pause the video if you need to, make sure that's done correctly, and you've set that up. Okay, all right, the next thing you want to do is now you want to make your tire pull. Okay, so far you have your tire that's connected to a string. Now we need to connect that to a pole because we need it to be held onto something for it to swing around. Okay, so pretty straightforward. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your axles, the 12 stud one and the 6 stud one, and then you need your 180-degree angle connector. Okay, all of these pieces are simply just going to pop in. So if watch the video that I have right here, what I'm doing is that this is the 12 stud axle, pops right in. I'm going to go ahead and connect the 6 stud one, pops right in. Okay, now you're going to get your tire with the string, and you're going to go ahead and connect the gray piece to your small axle here. As you can see, that pops right in. Okay, and this is what your finished result should look like. Okay, so pretty easy step to make the tire pull. Okay, finally it's time to get ready. Let's set everything up, and then all we do in our last step is test it and see if it works. Okay, so in this one, what you're going to see me do, I'm going to summarize steps 1 through 6. This is on page 13. I'm not going to go through it word for word, but I'm going to summarize it through my video. Okay? What you're going to do is you're going to take your seesaw that you built, okay, with the hammer on it. You're going to place your yellow pieces, okay, where those yellow flaps were. Okay, it's going to sit right there. That's why we put those yellow flaps up. Okay, you can see they are sitting there perfectly. Okay, you want to make sure it's correct. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the go sign that I built. I'm going to put it on my seesaw. Okay, notice, make sure your seesaw is slanted downwards. You don't want it up. Okay, okay, you're going to rest your sign right on your seesaw. There's a little groove on your paper. If you notice right here, there's a little groove where the seesaw sits right in. Okay, so I'm going to set it right there. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, okay, so this is the most tricky part, is I want to go ahead and put in my tire pole, okay? And I want to sit it into this gray bearing right here, okay? I'm going to go pop it right in, okay? So before you do that, what I recommend that you do is on step 5, okay? Right now, your tire and string is probably just hanging loosely. What you need to do is you need to wrap your tire string around the pole securely. It's very important that you pay attention to step 5. It says that you want to wrap the string in a counterclockwise direction. If you do it clockwise, it's going to spin and not hit the hammer. Okay. Counterclockwise means you're going the opposite way a clock goes, right? So from 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, right? So in that direction. You want to wind it pretty tight, not super tight, but you want to make sure it's pretty secure. If you can see mine, I know it's kind of hard, but that's how much slack I have on it, so it's not much slack. Okay. So I wrapped it counterclockwise, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm simply going to install it into that gray piece. Okay. So right here, see, I'm still holding it. Do not let it go because obviously it's going to fall. We're going to put something there to block it, so don't worry. But see how I just put it into this gray piece right here? It just goes right in there like a flagpole. Okay. What you're going to do to make sure it's secure is you are going to get an axle and you're going to put it right here into this gray piece, into the connector, okay? So the tire does not move. So notice I'm still holding it, and I'm getting that axle, the 6-stud one, and I'm gonna place it right into this white piece because I need it to block the tire because I don't want it moving yet, okay? I'm gonna place it right in there. Sorry, I hate when that happens. Let me get back to this. Okay, so we're putting that in, and then I'm gonna put the axle in there to hold it. And I'm going to sit that tire right behind that axle, okay, so that it's not moving, okay? So that's what it should look like so far. So your tire shouldn't move because that axle is holding it there, okay? Next step, what you're going to do is you're going to simply get the one green ball and you're going to place it right in here so it's not moving, okay? All right, so far that is your setup. Everything is ready to go and ready for testing, okay? So let's go ahead and test this and see what happens. Okay, so it's go time. So what should we see? Okay, once we pull the axle from the tire pull, so this is like the trigger to start everything. Once we pull it, we should see the tire unwinds and hits the hammer. The hammer is going to fall onto the seesaw. The seesaw is going to tilt and make the sign pop up. The hammer also hits the ball, which rolls down the ramp. So we're going to see 5 things happen. And then once we see this, let's talk about all the science that goes into it. Okay. All right. So couple things that I've learned when I made this. Okay, you can see that my left hand is holding the base of the seesaw system. The reason that is because the first time I did this, I tried pulling the pin out, and when I did that, I kind of used too much strength, and I pulled it, and like everything started to pull with it, and I had to set it back up again. So if you hold the base down and secure it and pull the pin out, it works much easier. Okay, so I'm pulling it out. Right here. So notice how my tire doesn't move automatically. Yours might, but I probably just tied it too tight. If that happens, all I do is I gave it a little tap with the axle to get it moving. That's all I did. And there you go. Pretty cool. Notice how the sign is now up. We see go, right? The hammer fell down, which caused the sign to go up, and which also caused me to hit that ball into motion. Ball rolled down the ramp and built up speed. Okay, so there you go, right? There is your chain reaction again. So this is pretty cool because you can modify this with Legos that you have. Okay, be creative. Now that you've created this, modify it. See what you can do differently. There's also many other projects here that you can do that go a little bit more in depth. Okay, so this is kind of a beginner, easy, follow the steps, see what happens. Okay, so let's talk about this before we end our video for today. So what do I take away? Let's read 2 of these paragraphs that I really like. I'm going to read this first paragraph right here. Says in a chain reaction machine, a small action sets off or triggers a big reaction. That's because each machine harnesses gravity, the powerful force that keeps you stuck to the planet Earth. Okay. Gravity is amazing. Gravity is one of the four fundamental forces that we deal with here on this planet that affect a lot of things. Okay, we know gravity. Gravity is what keeps us pulled to this earth, right? Gravity comes from something that has mass. Anything that has mass can have a gravitational field. The earth is so massive, right? Its mass is so huge that it can generate a gravitational field, right? That's why we don't. We're very small in comparison to the earth. So that's why we don't have things attracted to us. Okay. So if we think about it, how does the tire really end up moving? Okay, well, it moves due to a gravitational force. Once we pull the axle out, right, its natural tendency is to free fall, right? So it's going to fall, it's going to swing down. The rope is holding it down. Otherwise, it's going to accelerate and free fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. Since it has a string connected to it, it's not going to fall at that rate, but gravity is going to pull it down. So gravity is a big factor when it comes to chain reactions. Okay, so when you look, if you decide to Google chain reactions on YouTube, or if you reevaluate the Honda commercial that we saw, okay, a lot of things happen due to gravity, right? We see a lot of things that are falling. A lot of times things start at the top and work their way down. Okay, very rarely do you have something at the bottom working its way up, unless you have some contraptions there to do work, okay, which we'll talk about in a moment. Okay, but we saw potential energy, right, which is stored energy, that tire, okay, move, hit things, which eventually hit that ball, right, which turned its potential energy because it was at a certain height above the book and made it turn into kinetic energy, energy of motion. Okay, so in all of these things right here, let's talk about this. This paragraph, at the heart of all these reactions is one of the biggest and most important investigation in science, the study of how energy works. Energy, scientists say, is never created nor or destroyed. Instead, it changes from one form to another. Okay, so I said earlier we saw it go from potential energy, gravitational potential energy, and we saw it move into kinetic energy. Okay, and we also saw a lot of mechanical energy. Mechanical energy is energy basically to perform work. Okay, work is when you apply a force across a distance. Okay, so we needed energy, mechanical energy specifically, to get that hammer to move, right? To get that seesaw to flip up, so we can flip the sign up. So we saw different types of forms of energy. Engineers have to think about this all the time in their designs. Okay, when you're doing these projects, what I want you to do is think about how energy is changing from one form to another form. Okay. All right, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I hope you get creative and just use your own designs. Okay, do the builds in here, but try to modify it on your own and be a scientist today. All right, guys. See you next.